This is unacceptable. You have no right to revoke my access after all these years.
The bylaws are clear. The board has made its decision, and it is final.
At 6:12 a.m. on May 3rd, 2024, I woke up to the sound of chains scraping metal and my dog losing his mind. The air coming through the bedroom window was cold and smelled like wet wood and gasoline from the lake. I threw on a hoodie, ran out back, and saw flashing yellow lights bouncing off the water. Our HOA president, Karen, stood on the dock in a neon vest like she was directing traffic, pointing at my boat while a tow company guy unhooked it from my slip. A bright orange sticker screamed "Unauthorized Use HOA Property" across my dock post. My toes went numb on the icy boards while she smirked and said, "You've been reassigned. This space belongs to the association now." That was the morning I realized how deep this mess went. My family had lived on that lake since before the HOA even formed. My dad bought our place in 1998 because it came with that dock space, written right into the deed. But according to Karen, they had quietly repurposed my slip as a community rental back in 2009, and every board since then just played along. So yeah, HOA seized my dock space since 2009. Then I pulled the riparian rights. She said I could apply for a waitlist spot like everyone else and pay a yearly fee of $800. I just stared at her, water slapping against the posts, thinking, I already paid for this in the mortgage. I tried to do it the nice way first. I asked for an emergency meeting with the board. The clubhouse smelled like burnt coffee and old carpet that night. I brought a copy of my deed on my phone, highlighted, ready. I explained calmly that the dock line was shown as part of my lot. Karen didn't even look at it. She just tapped a printed rule. Section 14.3.2, Association controls all shoreline structures. The other board members kept their eyes on the table. Neighbors who knew the truth sat in the back like they were at a funeral. Karen slid a letter across to me. 10 days to remove my boat or face fines of $300 per week. At the bottom, someone had handwritten a little note. Prior incidents on file. Timeline item 1, April 5th at 4:27 a.m. false trespass call. They had actually logged the time she called the cops on me for walking on my own dock. On the drive home, my hands shook on the wheel. By the time I pulled into my driveway, the shaking had stopped. I drew a line in my head. No screaming, no petty stuff, only proper channels. But I was going to use every single proper channel they gave me. I started with the paper trail. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. I printed every notice, every fine, all 11 complaints they'd filed against me for dock misuse. I learned something simple reading state law that night. Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. That one line sat in my brain like a loaded hammer. The next day, I took off work and drove to the county recorder's office. When the clerk handed me the folder, the file landed with 63 pages. Old plats, covenants, amendments, maps with faded ink. And right there, in the original 1987 covenants, it said that riparian rights remained with the individual lot owner and could not be reassigned by the association. Riparian rights. I had to Google it 3 times to make sure I wasn't dreaming. In normal words, it meant this. Riparian rights mean the people who own land on the water control access to that water, not the HOA board. My dock line, the exact stretch where my boat had been parked for years, was drawn inside my property boundary. The HOA had been taking money for something they never owned. I hired a surveyor for $650 to res-take the shoreline. Then I requested a slot on the agenda for the annual HOA meeting and sent a certified letter to the city's water authority and the county attorney's office, attaching copies of the deed pages. I didn't run online. I didn't egg anyone's house. I just built the world's most boring, beautiful trap. Paper, dates, signatures. The night of the annual meeting, the clubhouse was packed. People whispered and held their phones like they already knew something was coming. Karen started with a slideshow about how their dock management program had brought in $11,400 last year. My stomach turned. She clicked to the next slide, ready to brag more, but my name was on the agenda. I walked up with my binder and a rolled survey map. I spread the map on the table so everyone could see the thick black line hugging my shoreline. Then I laid out copies of my deed and the covenant page. I spoke slow. This slip is deeded to my lot. This association has no legal right to lease it. Halfway through, a man in a city badge at the back raised his hand. He introduced himself from the water authority. Then he turned to Karen and said, calmly, that operating a rental dock system without proper permits was considered an unauthorized marina. Phones came up instantly. People started recording. One neighbor whispered, "Oh my God, all our dock payments." The city guy pulled out papers of his own. He had already opened an investigation because of my complaint and the documents I'd sent. Behind him, another man from the county attorney's office nodded along. Karen's face drained of color as he read off case numbers and possible fines. The board lawyer, who had been sitting smug in the corner, suddenly looked like he wanted to melt into the chair. I slid my binder toward them. Everything is in here. Every fine, every email, every complaint, including the nighttime calls where you reported me on my own property. The room got very quiet when I added, very gently, that patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. Someone in the back actually laughed, then tried to turn it into a cough. The fallout hit fast. Within 2 weeks, the city posted a notice of violation on the clubhouse door. The HOA had to shut down their dock rental program and pay a penalty of $5,000. They were ordered to refund 3 years of fees to 9 different neighbors. At the next meeting, Karen resigned as president for personal reasons, though everyone knew why. The board sent me a written apology and voided every fine on my account. They restored my dock rights in writing and filed a correction with the county. The police came by one afternoon, not to bother me, but to let me know they had documented those false calls and warned the association about misuse of emergency services. Now, the dock is peaceful again. Kids fish off the end. My boat sits where it always should have. Neighbors actually wave when they walk by, and we joke about starting a "Don't Mess with the Dock" club. The best part is that when people search our subdivision online now, the top video is the clip of Karen getting schooled on riparian rights at that meeting, with comments cheering from all over. Please follow for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.